of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome. We'll call the meeting to order here to the November 20th, 2019 meeting. Let the record show that all three commissioners are present and accounted for, along with our auditor and our county attorney. As usual, we have a little opportunity here for anybody that has something that they'd like to bring up that's not on the agenda. Now's the time to do that. We're recognizing there's nobody got anything they want to talk about. We'll move on. How's that? First thing up is courthouse security preparation. That's sure good.
Don't start the clock. Yeah, she said I was on a time clock. I said, you gotta give me time, I'll tell you when to start.
I'm gonna tell you, he promised me that if he got to go first, he would keep it to 3 minutes.
3
He
minutes.
told me 30 seconds.
It'll be first.
I'll tell you what.
We're gonna be all right.
I don't know.
Here's all I got, courthouse security. We've got approval from the council to hire our people. We will be ready to take over January 1st. So the only thing that I need from you all to decide, and I think Greg, so I'm glad he's here. This is going to pertain to him, because I think he was over the building part for you guys. We've got to have the gun lockers mounted. We've got to have the doors locked, push bars with the alarms and warning signs. We've got to have the cameras, desk, and we've got the metal detector. We just have to move it over here. Okay. And then we decided we're going to use, to begin with, there's only one entrance. And of course, it'll be the same, one entrance, one exit. So. And Greg can elaborate on that. You see what I'm saying on what he's got. So
okay. Is that Greg? Is that something that we can install, or we're going to need to get an outside company?
We're going to have the outside company do the camera systems, the wall locker, and all that. I believe that our maintenance people are.
Push bars and all that. The alarms on the push bars.
That'll all be from Midwest Security.
Okay.
And we need to go and approach the council for the appropriations for that.
Okay. So, are you on down through here later on or not? On this, I don't see.
I don't think he is. It's for the courthouse security.
No. So to make this move forward here, then you will be going to the council for the appropriations for
If that's your all's wishes, I will go and I will provide them with the dollar amount and go and get it and get onto the council and do that.
Yeah, let's do that. What do you think?
Yeah, we go with that.
Yeah, we need to.
Long in the making,
Yeah.
for years.
Wheels move sometimes.
Can you do this also? Can you go ahead and tell the maintenance man, whoever it is, to go ahead and move us a desk down there? There's probably one here somewhere.
There used to be one sitting out there.
Yeah, I'm sure we've got one somewhere, but yes, let's do
And
that.
the metal detector, we've got the metal detectors checked. We did already get all that. So the metal detector is sitting in the back of Greg's office, actually still in it. So it's there, it just needs to be moved over here, put down here, so we can get it set up. And then
So you're gonna operate out this room over here? This
east
over
door. Prisoners will come in south door, all others will come in east.
Okay.
We're gonna need to give a lot of notification to the public.
Well, with that, I'd like to suggest to the county employees that they don't all park on this side of the courthouse. As we talked about that in the very beginning, that they're gonna have a step or two extra because of not being able to come in, and we already have complaints with the businesses over here already, so.
Who, we have plans for, I know there's gonna be some people say that we shouldn't have to go through that machine. And we got a list of those people who are not going to go through?
No.
Okay.
Everyone will go through.
Well, I agree with you.
Yeah. As part of the safety plan, and then that can change, but when we get first started, now everybody goes through, don't mean, you know what I'm saying, that everybody will be searched if you have the proper clearance or the proper authority, you know what I'm saying, to be in the courthouse.
I can only think of about 5 people.
I can think of nobody.
Well, I can think of 5.
Gentlemen, if you remember last year, there was an SOP that we put out about that you guys voted on and approved. I've still got the copy of that SOP.
It's everybody,
Correct.
no matter what your
Do you
status.
want, would you want me to get that copy and email to all department
Yeah.
heads?
The only reason I question a few people is because judges and prosecutors, I think, I do think they hold a different standard. And I have no problem taking them off that. But everybody else, lawyers and everybody else, total agreement.
We talked about that when we got these badges, that some people exempt or some people aren't, and we decided that nobody's exempt, so.
May I, at the risk of agreeing with Mr. Jones,
Can we get this on tape?
We got it.
as a former prosecuting attorney myself, I think everyone, judges, prosecutors, everyone should go through the same thing that every citizen has to go through.
And that's okay too. But if we're gonna do that, what's the repercussions if they tell us no?
Stay outside.
Yeah, that's gonna happen in the judge's chamber.
Well, I mean, it's our building.
It's our building, it's their chambers, it's the courthouse.
Well,
It's called the courthouse for a reason.
I think the sheriff can sort that out.
Yeah, we can handle that.
Okay.
Take care of that on.
Fine with me.
Because as they walk by, we've got wands also.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that, by the way. I just see some issues coming up.
Right, I agree with
Matter of
that.
fact, it was discussed at the meeting.
And we'll talk about that, we do have a solution for that, but I don't want to say it on the camera.
Fair enough, I'm sorry to
Everybody-
intervene, but
Everybody will have to go through it.
Yeah.
Oh, we do have a solution.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's all.
You can't have one of them go wacko too.
You're right, I agree. It's everybody. Usually it's in-house when something happens. So, other than that, I'm done except for one thing. Tammy, will you please send Mr. Houston a copy of the padded room, padded cell bill?
Okay.
And then, I hadn't had a chance to get to you, but we're going, if you will, please file a civil suit against the gentleman that destructed it. I'll get you a case report on that.
Okay.
because We did a case report on the destruction.
Okay.
And we filed a civil suit against him in civil court if you will.
Okay.
I'll get you information, obviously, you do what you want.
Yeah,
But we'll get
that's
you.
good. That's pretty valuable, yeah.
So we give a notice to the state police, lights tonight?
That's what you all have, that's what's
It's
on
on
the
later.
later.
We got that down.
Okay, I'll be out there, yeah, I'm good.
I'll send all that to you, and you decide what you want to do with it, but you'll have it.
And you feel comfortable with the company being able to have everything done by January 1st?
Probably not at this point. It'll be middle of the first quarter. When we originally did that, well, that was the cameras, we did that 4 or 5 months ago, they wouldn't have been able to, but
Okay.
It's-
Well, regardless, we're going to
Still move.
move forward, so.
Yeah, and we'll be there to, and then all the added features past that will be gravy on top, so.
Then I think at this point, I would entertain a motion from this board to write a letter to the Indiana State Police Alliance and let them know that the services will no longer be needed after January 1.
You know, we'll take over
December 31st.
So, yeah.
And,
That's in your packet for later, and there's your terms. You've got this.
okay, okay.
And I would like to add that it'd be nice if you would send a letter.
And certainly, we certainly thank them for what they've done too. I mean, they've done a good job for us while they've been here. So anyway,
I'll make the motion.
Mike makes the motion, second on the second, I'll make it unanimous. Mr. Houston, take care of that, correct? All right.
And I'll be in touch with you. If you want anything from me, let me know.
All right.
Tom, Jim.
You just made it.
I feel they get over you and Mike agreeing on something.
Claims,
Change.
claim consideration for Scott County Infectious Disease Grant. Nick, how are you tonight?
Doing well, thank you. Yeah, this is just a claim for CDBG funds that we should put on. This is IU Health and River Hills, IU services from June through September. And just a quarter of our administration fees for the project. It's, the total is $8,630.76.
And this is,
The remaining funds.
65?
Yeah, after
Okay.
disbursement will be 65.
All right. So I have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
I'll make it unanimous.
You guys any closer to getting a director?
Yes.
And no.
And now, yeah, I believe we should have somebody.
All right,
We have a full commission meeting Thursday night.
That's pretty fast then.
Sorry.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, Pigeon Roost site, John Edgerton. John, how are you?
Well, ladies and gentlemen. So I'd like to give out my handouts. I apologize, I didn't get one for myself. So what's going on at Pigeon Roost, it's the county-owned park down at 31. You're all familiar with it over the, I'd say probably the last 5 years, me and my father have been here about 3 or 4 times because the trees are older trees and keep falling. There's also a very large infestation of bittersweet in that area that's pulling some of the trees down. And so when we went to put it on the property, we set it back a few feet off the property line. And over the course of last year, a significant number of trees have fallen onto the property. There's pictures showing the trees, very large diameter trees, and significant damage to the fence.
So you're asking us for compensation?
Correct.
Okay. And these figures you come up with?
Yes, and there's just ballpark numbers. I put the price of the fence and some guesstimates on it. We put up a lot of fence, so a pretty good idea what it costs. I'm not saying that necessarily I want to do it, I'm just kind of giving you an idea what I think it will cost.
You want my opinion, or I don't care how we do this? My opinion is, yeah, we probably do need to do something here. I'm not sure I would accept your figures. I think we ought to have, if we're gonna do it, have somebody else do that. And just as much as this, I think we need to get somebody over in the Pigeon Rooster and clean that tree lines up on the other side, on our side. Because that's where, and I think you've had it fixed before, right? I mean,
Sure.
the county fixed it once before.
Yeah, you'll see that there's a random U post in there that is from the county where they just kind of patched it up. The wire was never replaced.
But compensating you is one thing, getting our side cleaned up is another, because this is gonna happen again. What I looked at, it's gonna happen again.
So, and also I met with Maddie, she is the Indian Forestry out of the forestry down in Henryville.
Yes.
She came up and she looked at, she was looking at my property for other stuff, but she mentioned that Pigeon Roost is the root of a bittersweet problem in Scott County, which bittersweet's considered invasive. There's also some other invasive vines that are growing in that area that are spreading across the county as well.
Okay.
So I see 2 issues. One is you think there should be compensation. And to me, the other issue is the tree lines, because it's gonna happen again. So we need to cut some trees out and mow that or something.
Correct.
Whatever else.
Well, I know we went down once before when there were some trees that fell through, and that was that patch job that you're looking at there. They actually stretched the wire back up and put an extra post in there. That's been, what, 2 years ago or better. So these trees are all, have fallen from the county property?
Correct. You can see on our side of the fence, that's where the picture taken from. We cleared probably 20 feet back.
Yes. I know I've walked before, couldn't walk down through there, so you must have done some clearing.
On our side.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I've walked both sides of it.
We would have cleared on your side, but to be honest with you, I didn't want to come and harass you guys about taking down trees, because I know that gets into politics about what trees to keep, what not to keep.
It's our liability on the trees.
Like anything else, exactly. Like on the highway or anything else, there's a liability there. If we know one's bad, we don't think it hurt somebody.
You have negligence liability, correct?
It looked to me like you take considerable amount to clean it up. I don't know how far you go over from the fence road to do that, but it looked, I know Mike's looked at it too. I think it's gonna happen again.
Well, anytime you're in a wooded area, it has the capability to fall, have a tree fall. I mean, I say my opinion, I mean, I'd like to look at it again, send somebody out there to look at it, and quite honestly, send our people to even see what the trees need to become, brought down. Because didn't we have, not too long ago, or I'd say in the last year or so, someone come in there and trim some trees and cut some trees down that was out more in the park area, wasn't it?
That's when you had the widowmaker that was hanging down, that was in the fall.
Well, they came down and cut some more besides that, but I guess let's do some investigating, see what we have. I mean, if we're liable for them, then I guess we're gonna have to do something. If we're not liable for them, then, it's a property thing, but, I don't wanna go through there and clear out the whole forest.
No, you're not required to do that.
But,
If you have a dangerous tree, a tree that's gonna fall, or that you should have known was gonna fall, and you don't do anything about it, then you're liable. You're not liable for every tree that lines every road in the county. You can't fix that.
well, I'd like
If
to.
you have one that's dead, that could fall, or a limb hanging out of the road that's dead, then Jill takes pretty good care of this.
Before I guess agree to pay for anything, I'd like to do some research and with some people, get a tree guy out there maybe and see what we got before. I'd like to see what we got.
Give me notification, you're willing to come on my side and see, because it's a lot easier to see. Things have gotten a lot clearer over there with everything dying off, but the underbrush is still pretty nasty in that area. You're welcome to come take a look at it. I just kind of, my request is that we take some form of action, or set some form of deadline. Like if I come back in a month and talk with you.
I'd say if we come back here, well, I don't think we're gonna have a meeting, first meeting in summer, but I'd say we ought to have something next week or two, but we should have.
And this is the line fence between you and us, correct?
If this was the property line, our fence is on our side.
It's a step over. It's a step over on his property. The fence isn't directly on the line. I mean,
It's just too hard to put it right on the line with you guys, because if I cross a foot over or an inch over, you can get in a legal battle that we don't want to be in. It's a lot easier just to put it on my side and give you an inch.
Well, we certainly have the responsibility of keeping maintaining that fence. We need a wall, and so that as far as the trees, again, it just stands to reason to me. And I deal with a fence. It just stands to reason to me if we go in and clear that back as far as possible on the trees that are dead or look like they're going to fall. Again, we're not responsible for every tree, but the ones that do look like they're in bad shape or leaning towards that fence, we might want to think about taking them out. So I think that's what we do, and we have the equipment to do that with. And again, we can a couple of fence builders, I think here in the county, we might contact them and have them go down and give us a quote us price on what it would cost to put the fence in. And like I say, that's our responsibilities, and we have to go with it.
Can you help on that, Tom? On identifying some trees that we need to take down, that kind of stuff? Would that be in your?
Yep. Actually, I think, matter of fact, actually, I walked the property, and Maddie was there. She was your place yesterday or day before?
Monday, yeah.
Yeah, that's when you walked. She walked some of mine out there too. We looked at it, and so she, again, she could, Tom and her, she knows, I'm sure, just identify the ones that need taken out. I see some leaning right now towards that fence. Looks like here in these pictures that probably need to come down. So yeah, we'll get somebody out to look at that. We'll do something to come back. I don't see any reason why that we couldn't know something within the next 30 days on that. It may, and we may, again, we're in the time of year, and you know a little bit about farming, you're into it too. If it gets where we can't get in there, maybe spring before we can actually do the work, but we'll keep it maintained until then, and then do something like that.
Our intent as well, there's only one section that is a new fence, we're gonna replace that over this winter. So that you'll have basically all new fence around Pigeon Roost on our sides. So the only exposed sides you'd have left is the cemetery and the railroad. And if you didn't know, state law, if you were to put that fence along the cemetery side, the railroad's required to put a fence on their side. If it's fenced on 3 sides, the railroad has to do the 4th. So that, and I've mentioned this in previous meetings, I think it's a good idea to put a fence on that railroad if you expect kids to play in that park, just for safety purposes. So, I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
I think our meetings are more fun than the city meetings.
Your close friends.
My number pops up on there.
Postage service contract renewal for Purdue Extension Services. Tom, come on out. How are you?
Oh, good. As you all, I think, might know, Tammy Walker, our former HHS, the Health and Human Science, and the CDD, or County Extension Director, resigned back on November 8th. So I'm now the acting CDD, or County Extension Director, and I understand.
You kind of come full circle, haven't you?
Yeah. And I'm still supposed to do it all as part-time. No. And I'm still just trying to do it all as a part-time person, so that's why I take a big sigh of relief.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, the postage lease, I understand, was, Tammy, it was presented back in first part of November, or at least Shelley Hattenbach, our office manager, gave me this note that she had talked to Joe Baker from the Pinnacle Mailing, called on November 7th, saying that the postage meter lease really wasn't up until March of next year, but said there would be an additional 12% increase in the monthly billing if we waited until January to get a lease signed. So that's kind of why, so Tammy, maybe I should back up. This is the first time you've probably seen the request to sign it.
We had a conversation, and at first I thought, well, we'll wait till later, and the 12% issue came into effect. So there's what Shelley dropped off to the office. For them, if they consider that and decide to go back into that, then we can save that 12% with the early renewal on that lease.
Yes, and as I understand it is, and actually I hadn't looked through this because again just now, but they do it on they bill quarterly. There is a monthly amount, but they bill it quarterly, and it is for a 5-year lease, so 60 months. I was going to say, there has been a little bit of an increase, I understand, since it was initiated 5 years ago, but that was kind of a normal due to price increases on that. But as Tammy just said, there was going to be an additional 12% increase if it's not signed here before the 1st of next year. And Tammy, again, I'm sorry, looking at this first time,
What was the old rate?
Yeah. Is this rate here, is this any increase now, or is that the old rate? It's 53.43 per month. Well, that's a monthly amount, it's billed quarterly. So what I'm looking at here, and that's what I was trying to punch in here, was so it's $3,200, $3,205.80 for 60 months, correct?
And they looked at other options too to try to piggyback onto somebody else's the postage machine, but it's not feasible with the amount that's being used in other departments and whatnot, and with the separation of everything. It's not feasible. They're on a different level than we are, and if they have mass mailings, we can't coordinate those things with other departments that may have mass mailings. And this was, I guess, the better of the two options is, renew early and save 12%. They're just wanting a commitment, I think, and they're giving you a price break if you commit before it terminates. So
I'm gonna ask a crazy question. I mean, this is technically a stamp. I mean, instead of going to the post office and having them do it. So
it runs through the meter.
Yeah, I've had one with the video. So is it used enough to warrant the machine? And I don't have it. I don't have a clue. I mean, are we doing enough mailings that it would pay for itself?
Good question, Mike. I think, and again, myself, just haven't
Oh, I
started.
know, you're not the
First of
person that's got
August.
the answers.
But that Shelley and Megan, who still remain, are very much definitely saying yes, it is worth that. And again, not that the post office isn't that far away, but I guess of running up there, doing that, having to mail it. I understand the meter itself mails everything until, or weighs it, I should say, tells you exactly how much. But
And if they're
maybe
just,
answer.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but if there's just a card or something, of course, that's at a reduced postage rate, which that meter can handle that without having to go buy different sets of stamps and make claims out for these. It's a time savings on claim process too, to get money to go buy stamps. So, yeah, which can take a long, yes.
Yes.
We're not buying this machine. We're
It's a
doing
lease,
it.
correct.
Typically, it saves money.
Yeah, long run it does.
Yeah. I was gonna back up and answer to Mike, what Shelley had provided me with, the monthly price was going from $45.35 a month, so that was $136.05 quarterly, to this $160.29 quarterly.
It's about a $7 or $8 raise per month.
Yeah.
Correct, $8.12.
And there's money in place already for this, or,
Yes, in the budget, yes,
so it's not an additional relative.
correct. It's just, that's what I'm understanding, maybe y'all are looking at the copy of this same sheet.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm
I'll
not
make a
sure.
motion to accept this.
Motion made, second.
I'll second.
Make that unanimous.
There's just sometimes, you know, the need's not there and you're still getting the same machine, so I mean, I know you guys send out a lot of stuff, so.
This one, Tammy, the one that
Please
needed
sign
something.
that one, sorry.
And I'm not sure, Tammy, exactly where it's in the signature.
Yes, that would be it. Correct.
And if I never mind, I know Bob's signing that, he's chairperson here, but I guess two other quick things I was wondering was, any update on possibly us moving? And the other thing I was gonna say, now after hearing Sheriff Gooden, I was gonna ask a question about, is it possible to have after-hours access to, like, folks come to our conference room if we were hosting meetings or hosting webinars and that kind of thing?
We talked about that. There's, I think in the initial security meetings, I mean, they talked about after hours and, because if, like in the circumstance, if a judge or a court's got a court that rolls over past the 5 or 4 o'clock at the time, that there would be somebody that would stay, or they would send a deputy over, you know, to be here, so that somebody be here. As far as your situation, I don't know, I think that'd be something we'd have to talk about, but as far as having access, it's a matter of them knowing you got a meeting and setting the door so that it would open and close. As far as security, I mean, I don't know necessarily what you guys are doing, and you'd have to have a big time security or anything, but that's something we'd have to talk about probably.
As far as, I mean, as far as I understood that, maybe I don't understand it better too, is access is still gonna be available.
Yeah.
You know, when
Yes.
it works here at the courthouse, 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gonna record and all that, and all who's here, so at that point, the access is still available, right?
By level.
It's fine.
Department heads would have certain access, but your part-time employee wouldn't be able to come in through those doors.
Okay, okay.
It was tiered by level, and that was one of the SOPs that we approved.
Okay.
But it would be something that you could set on.
Correct. If we had an email, hey, I need the doors open, myself and Andrew would put it into the program, and
Yeah.
the doors would automatically open.
And if anything started before 4:30, exit's no problem.
Right.
But re-entry would be.
Re-entry would be a big, yes, it
Yeah, I
is.
mean, I was looking at offering maybe some webinars like first-time farmers or pharmacist section, you know, pass some farm along to the family, and those webinars, they initiate either out of Purdue or different extension offices, and many of them don't start until like 6 p.m. So they're usually an hour webinar, but it's like
I
that.
think that'd be something to be able to work out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that, yeah, again, answer to your first question, we still are looking, we still are trying to.
I was
Find
telling
a
Patty, I
solution
went to
that's
the
gonna-
health department for the first time today. I hadn't really toured it since they had moved out. And again, you all tell us whether that's viable to go and build out any of the bays there. Or anything.
Actually, speaking of that, I actually asked an engineer and a contractor that, I'll just say it, I mean, the one that built on for the health department out there. I asked him the square footage and how much a square foot and what it cost us. And he sent me something back that said, taking 2 bays, roughly 2,000 square foot at $100 a square foot plus 10% engineering fees, it'd be about $220,000 to create a space that you guys asked for, and that's the conference room and kitchen and, you know, the office space. So everything that you asked for, that's the price that he gave me. So there's a price out there.
So, you know, I've just had some others asking as well, whether you have a word on that or what might be happening.
I lose all my hair up here when that happens.
Okay. Anything for me then?
No, just thank you for what you're doing.
As far as Tammy's replacement is Purdue moving on that?
I'm
or-
actually meeting with our district director tomorrow to find out what's the process. We actually have, I think it was 23 educators that had retired. They took like an early buyout at the end of October. So I think those are the ones around the state. Like, for instance, Jefferson County lost both of their educators, with Mommy Mason and Angie Redford retired. And so I think that, I understand that's probably going to be their first priority to get some of those filled, particularly where there's no one in the county. And then like now, this recent resignation, I understand, just slide in, when one becomes open, and that's will be the next to be advertised.
Okay.
But I meet with Amy tomorrow to find out some more about that, and updated CED things.
Well, I know she was here for a short time, but she was impactful, that's for sure.
Yes.
So, a lot of good
programs.
things.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for this and everything else you do.
Thank you.
And that ties into the next thing in your agenda, that's a letter that I was asked to give to the commissioners. that
Oh, yeah, I
ties
saw
back
that.
into that.
Good for this right now, it's just information. Roll call sometime.
And so I think that's just that board's goal setting for extension of public
Yeah.
employment service.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the precinct boundary changes to 2020.
Yeah. I do have an order, and I forgot to give that to Tammy earlier. All of these precinct boundary changes came from the city of Scottsburg. They record the ordinance with the recorder's office, and then I get a copy and have to send all the information to the state. If you guys sign this, these will be effective January the 8th of next year, which is also the first day to sign up for office. So the first one in your packet, there's only 4 of them. It is off of Miranda Lane. It's the 4.8 acres. I believe it's where the,
Solar plant?
yeah, the solar, yeah. There's-
Was that been extended out for that?
Yeah, it's going to be incorporated into the city limits into Vienna 2. It's currently Vienna 6 now? Yes. And it'll be incorporated into Vienna 2. The second one is also on Miranda Lane. It's a bigger chunk. It's 43 acres, which is currently Vienna 6, which will be incorporated into Vienna 2.
Where's that again?
Miranda Lane runs,
I know where Miranda Lane is, I mean, we talking all that up and down through there?
no, not all of it. I made a copy, but I know your guys' isn't in color. This right here is 65.
Yeah.
Right here is Miranda Lane. This is the 43 acre, and then this is the 4 acre tract.
So the 43 acres, is that the,
That's where, like, I think most of the solar panels
Yeah.
are. I'm not sure if there's anything down here in that one, though. So,
I didn't know they had that. I thought that was all Hancock.
This is a request from the city.
yes. And the ordinance is also attached to all of these, too.
What is any benefits or anything? I'm trying to figure out anything maybe we wouldn't want to. I don't have a problem with this, but I'm trying to figure out the pluses and negatives.
Yeah.
There's not many houses built up there, so
No.
it's all gonna be, you know, commercial technically.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on this, I just,
Yeah.
you know, when you vote on things sometimes,
Well, that brings up a question then, is like you just said, that 43 acres there, we know there's not gonna be a house there. We know there's not gonna be a house around that 4 acres down there, so really, what is the advantage of this? Other than, I mean, what
It's
is
the
it?
power plant that they're building, that solar power plant that they're building.
Just
But I mean, it's a
incorporated
precinct.
into-
but for
yeah.
precinct, for,
Yeah,
I
for
understand being in the city.
Yeah,
It's
but
for
I mean,
elections.
Yeah, but a precinct, well, I mean, it seems like, I don't know.
It probably just because they're gonna incorporate it, it's gonna move into a district, and that district has to be,
Once it's in the city, it's gotta be in the
I
district.
mean,
think so.
20 or 100 years from now, that solar plant might be gone, and they build houses, so.
Mhm.
So it's going from 6 to 2, correct?
Mhm, yes. Yeah, and your guys, this is where it's,
And 6 is in the county too.
yeah, like all the green is buying a 6 and the blue is buying a 2.
I don't, yeah, I don't have any issue with this.
Or you want to do these individually, or you want to do them all together?
Just, yeah,
I only have one order.
we're just here for
I only
precinct.
have one order.
Oh, Rod's,
Yeah.
no, what I'm saying is when we're voting, are we gonna do it
Oh,
all
I got
together, or
you.
are we gonna do them
Okay.
individually? So, what's the other two?
And the other one is Total Concepts.
The facility itself?
It is going to be, how many acres is this one? This one's 6.5 acres. So the blue card is buying a 2 again, the green is buying a 6, so this line here. So they're going to be incorporated into city limits.
Yeah, they're not in the city now,
Yes, they're not.
and they want to be because everything around them is us.
Yeah.
But this is for voting precincts again, it has nothing to do with us
Yeah.
otherwise.
Actually, is that?
I think taxing is the main issue.
We already did the taxing,
Yeah.
they're already annexed in.
Is that
Yeah.
6, is that the house, that Ronnie Bishop's old house? That,
The one on the corner of Boatman and Taylor Mill, is that Taylor Mill?
oh, wait a minute, yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, you have
Backwards.
looks
I was looking
nice
at
little
backwards.
property there probably.
He's down the other way.
Well, John,
Let me see that if you don't mind.
okay,
Yeah, that's that little house that sits there on the corner.
okay.
Yeah.
This is a little turn around, we should give them, excuse me, just a minute. Where are we at here? Explain this to me.
Okay, so this is Boatman Road here.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and then you turn here, I think that's Taylor Mill to
Okay.
go over to the,
Yeah,
and then here's that Taylor Mill.
so none of this is coming in?
Tammy,
No,
Yes, sir.
just
Does that-
this highlighted
by
line.
change, well, of course, it's listed in voting.
Yeah,
but
so
does
these
that
two,
allow them
they're
on
still
taxation to
minus
Put that in that
six.
TIF
Comes
line?
on,
Maybe
I
it's
think.
coming on.
What it
No,
is.
it's
We
not
do have
part
a
of
lot
their
of
district
shop
area. It's
pieces
just,
like
it's
that.
gonna be part of their incorporated area for
Yeah, I'm-
taxation, so everybody will be subject to the city of Scottsburg's additional taxes on these areas that she's talking about. We've already on the property side, these are recorded annexations, and we've already moved them for 20, pay 20 into the annexed areas for the city of Scottsburg.
Yeah.
And so what they're doing is basically just moving them into the city districts for voting, since they become a city taxation property. They're just following with the voting precincts, so they'll all match.
Yeah, and they'll take over the roads at that point too, I assume.
They already have.
Well, it's, yeah, that's what I'm,
They
yeah.
have.
both
Voting will
sides,
move
right?
on down, they won't,
Yes, sir.
because they went to a certain point,
Yes,
stopped.
Although that's not what we're here to meeting for.
Back to, these other two places over here off of Taylor Mill, are they incorporated or they
No,
not?
they're in
So
minus 6.
So it's, we're gonna leave for all,
Yeah,
okay.
we do that to a
I
lot.
know.
There's a lot of them like that. Okay, and the last one is on Lovers Lane. It's at Lovers and Main Street. It's that big field.
80 acres.
Yeah.
Is that go all the way
Okay,
down
so
to the
this
fairground road?
is, well, it turns into Vienna.
I'm sorry, I won't.
Right there
There,
across
on-
from home, the old home.
And this is Main Street.
Is that the
Or
old,
no.
is that the old Coop
Here.
Rider Farm?
That's what I call Peacock, yeah.
Coop Rider Farm.
So they're bringing in Coop Rider Farm.
All of that, yes.
Where's Fairground Road there? Sort this out a little bit better.
That's where the
Right
exit
here.
is.
So they're going all the way to Fairgrounds. It's that whole big piece of property there. Okay. They bought it a few years ago.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it going
What?
from?
And it's going from Vienna 1 to Vienna 3, so it will be within the city limits. This color here
There's
is,
more than 80 acres in that place. I think the Cooper Riding Farm, I thought had 100.
I think there's two different pieces.
Yeah, but I think the city only bought 80 of it.
No, they bought it.
Okay, there's seven.
Did they?
Yeah,
It says here approximately 150 acres.
yeah, that's it.
Okay, there's two parts. The first one's 70 and then the other one is 150 acres.
Actually, it was like 150 altogether.
That's what, this one here says 70 and the other says 80 for 150.
Oh, containing all in 150, yeah.
Yeah.
But regardless, our vote should not proceed changes.
Yes.
It is, yes.
Well, it's all vacant grounds. I'll make a motion to accept it.
And I'll second that motion.
Unanimous.
And I think you have to sign it.
Does it need to be published?
It does. I'll publish it before the end of the year, and then it will become effective January 8th. So it gives people time to, if they want to, fight it or something, they got time. Yeah.
Squirrels
Yeah,
or deer.
yeah, whatever's out there, there's nothing, no voters.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
That's what, I'm gonna ask this question there before they had done the, help me out, Tammy, here on the 2-mile radius of where they're at, wanting to annex that. Is that anything?
You're talking about the area plan?
The area plan had done that, and I know Austin was looking at the same thing, Scottsburg was looking at that. So I guess my question is, maybe this is a legal question. At that point, if that is annexing, does that become the cities? And, but yet, they're not allowed, they would not be allowed to vote in the
If they
city
got
election?
annexed in, they would be allowed to vote.
It's in city
It's
limits.
two
Yeah,
different,
city
It's in the
limits.
city limits, I think it's in there.
it's for zoning only.
Oh.
The 2-mile
not- yeah,
radius is
they're
zoning
We're not in
only.
city limits
Yeah,
now.
because
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
zoning, and I'm just,
It's,
you know, it is, they have to, I guess I'm confused on this a little bit, that you have for zoning only,
Yeah.
and, you know, they are in the county,
Mhm.
but yet they have to abide by the zoning regulations that the city has adopted, but
Yeah.
yet they have no vote, so they're kind of no representation.
Actually, what she's doing is, and what they're, from what I understand the city's doing, they're incorporating those pieces of property in the city limits. So the city limits, they will be paying city taxes and everything
And
else.
voting,
City utilities, it's not a county property anymore, it's a city limits. I mean,
Yeah. Is that what you were meaning about?
Just like years
No,
ago,
that's not what they're saying. They're
They're saying
saying
it's
they're,
zoning.
it's zoning only. And I'm saying, you know, if you're going to incorporate
The 2-mile,
the 2-mile buffer,
yeah,
that has nothing to do with what,
this
It has nothing to do with it.
This is a change in.
yeah, this here is, I understand that, but my question was, is it's gonna go, my question is, maybe it's not to her, but my question is that going to, that 2-mile buffer is for zoning
Changes.
only?
yes, but it changes if you annex this piece, then the buffer changes also.
That property line.
it's a
2 miles more.
development plan. It's
Well,
a-
not necessarily 2 miles more. If the property is annexed that's 100 feet, then the 2-mile buffer goes out 100 feet.
What Missy's here for is because
Yeah.
of what the city did, now it changes the voting precincts. What the city did was incorporate all these 4 pieces of property into the city, so the city boundaries just changed.
Yes.
Yes.
And we did on
And the
last
buffer
year.
that you're talking
Buffer, so
about,
it just went out how far again?
2 more miles.
Exactly.
Yeah. And actually, out here where total concept by design, that makes it a big swap, because now it goes out 2 miles from their property.
Can, yeah.
Well, if they have city utilities,
Yeah.
It's a zone planning mode, because cities are gonna anticipate growth, so they want to have zoning control so far out from their borders, so they can make sure that when they do incorporate, that it fits in with the scheme of their development plan, and that's why that was, I think, put there in code, is because it's a preemptive move to get things shored up to be correct for the pattern of development that city would have laid out. And that's what that 2 mile buffer is for.
I'm still, actually, I'm gonna talk to somebody about that, because I think they either incorporate it or they don't incorporate it, that's my thought.
I have some
You know,
concerns too. We
I mean, I've
talked
got
one
big
time
concerns
about
about
challenging some of that,
Yeah.
it never went anywhere.
And, I mean, either do it, or, yeah, you know, either do it or don't do it, one or the other. All right, thank you.
Thank you for putting up with it.
No problem.
We talked about everything.
EMS quarterly report.
Good evening. Not too bad. Just looking for you guys. Alright. Sorry, like an email I sent out before the delay, my world got kind of rocked here recently with the getting of the foster child, so getting placement with that. So that's why I'm kind of a little bit late, but I try to keep you guys in the loop as why I was. As far as how we're looking at the third quarter, everything is still right on track from where we were previously, if not actually doing better than expected. I was in here last week talking to Teresa, and right now with less than a month and a half left, we still got 23% of our budget left, she said, which is really good. She's actually projected us 1.5 for revenue. We're actually at 1.6, so we're up from her projected revenue markers as well. As you can see on the first page, for the third quarter, we've done 1,027 runs, with everything being incorporated. The majority of those are transports. The biggest thing, if you look down at the SOR data, you can see the first 2 quarters, they were almost 20% or more. Since we incorporated that billing fee, that has dropped down to 14.51%, so down to 8%. As far as billing for those, we billed roughly almost $7,000. We returned a little over $3,000 for a 44% return. So that is huge, considering we've only been doing it since July. Compared to what I was told from Washington, we'd be lucky if we see 50%. With that, just doing it since July 22nd, I believe. And from where we are now is 11/18, I think we're doing pretty good for that.
what kind of feedback are you getting from those people?
I've had one person call, and it's a regular of ours that's pretty vocal about some stuff. But other than that, I've not heard anything bad whatsoever. I've not heard one negative thing. So, which surprised me. I figured there would be some, and I don't know if you guys heard any as commissioners.
So are they turning it in on their insurance, or are they paying it out of their pocket?
Essentially, most insurances won't pay for non-transported bills, so this essentially is just out of their pocket.
And you're not getting a bunch of grief?
No, I had that one person call, and then I had the overseer, I don't know what you call her, of St. James Place call me. And we talked, and they were understanding, we came to an agreement on some things, so.
Okay.
Other than that, that's the only real kickback that I've heard. And the St. James wasn't really a complaint, it was just trying to get an understanding of what's going on. Any questions about that first page there?
Question.
All right. Second page, comparison, July, August, and September. On the right side, obviously, is 2019, and the left is 18. We're up actually tremendous from, well, I wouldn't say tremendous comparing the size of the chart, but we're up in general from the 3 months last year to where we are now. And then
We have more runs.
More runs, yes. And then as far as quarterly comparison, we're up from the first 2 quarters.
You're up. I mean, I would mention me one time. I mentioned to Raymond. I assume he talked to you about it. maybe with runs going up, that we may not have enough ambulances on the alert ready to go at all times.
We're running into that right now.
Yeah, so he was concerned that maybe we might need somebody else out there too. I mean, another ambulance available for that.
Yeah, there's been some kick around as far as getting a third ambulance as well. Because with the increase of nursing home residents, a lot of people are stretcher bound that can't go by wheelchair, so therefore they're sending them by us. And when we do these runs, we're taking 50% of our assets out of the county for 4 hours plus. So then
you
we're
get 2 ambulances.
2 ambulances. We try when we know we have these scheduled, because these facilities have to schedule these. We'll try to get a third truck, and when we do get a third truck in for those days, it's kind of a maybe an experimental. Yeah, it works flawlessly because they handle that. The other trucks can handle the hospital, and then 911's come in, and nobody lets go. Not facilities doesn't go.
So you feel pretty confident we're okay at this point? But it might
There's some times that I pucker up a little bit knowing, and I respond a lot from home whenever I know that they're busy. That way at least somebody is getting some sort of care, and as well as I do when I'm in the office. So there's some times that it gets pretty sketchy, and I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you that, but I resource them on a response from home, I respond from home if need to, so therefore we're making sure that the citizens of the county are covered.
So as right now, you don't see coming to us somewhere down the road with the council and even more? More ambulance, more personnel?
Council, I mean,
Part
they're
of your-
self-sufficient, so.
Yeah, it's just a matter of if the budget can hold it, I would say.
You feel safe, I just wanna.
Yeah, and obviously I'm totally safe. There is times I'm like, okay, somebody needs to hurry and get back in the county. That way, because like what I told you guys earlier, I believe this year, when I did that three months trial there to see how many times we requested mutual aid or somebody on standby. You know, that was almost, actually it's in here, 60-something times, I believe, in those 3 months that we requested for another county for standby or to take a run for us.
Okay, so you're watching it close, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a big problem you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm on the radio quite a bit when I'm home.
So you'll come out on your own if you have to?
Yeah, absolutely. I have no problem doing that. So.
I just, like, and I'm sure everybody here, we want to make sure that our.
Yeah, my main priority is the citizens of the county, and I do what I need to do to make sure that they receive care if need to.
Okay. Thank you.
As far as the paramedics, I mean, are we still turning those over? Are we slow down on that?
We've slowed down. There's some stuff in the works. I mean, me and Tammy have been talking here lately a lot. There's some stuff in the works, and if it does get pushed through, I think we won't have a turnover for a very long time. We're still one short, because I like to have at least 2 per shift. We're one short. Just hired a 5th one, so I got 5 paramedics and 7 EMTs right now.
I know I've been having in-depth conversations with a commissioner from Washington County because they're ambulance struggling big time.
And I'm blessed not to be in that position.
So the other part, did we designate or hire a training officer?
When I was in here talking with Teresa, I asked her because I know you guys approved the job description to go on with the approved job description. They went to the council for salary range to see if they wanted to leave it as is or approve the salary range. She was supposed to look in the minutes because she didn't know. I asked Raymond when he was in the office. He wasn't too sure whether it got approved or not because I know he's, I think, missed a few meetings along the way, so he wasn't too sure. I'm just waiting to hear back for I can, because I would like to get one in soon because with the beginning of the year, we typically march out the rest of the year schedule as far as how many classes we're going to have them for EMT classes and PR events and things like that. Essentially, the PR falls under the training.
So where are you with another paramedic class?
We started one back in September. We're up to we have 21 people in there. We're supposed to have 25. Some people didn't even show up the first day after they accepted the position, after they accepted the spot in the class. One was due to academics already, and the other one turned it in because she came pregnant. So I didn't know one more.
So you got 21 in the class, and the last time, what many did you have?
We started with 20 was our was our cap, was 20, and we ended up with 15. So right now, you know, I'm looking at the grade book and everything, and we're on track to keep those for a while.
So
We
how
got a
many,
pretty good solid set of students.
how many of the 21 are local people that are working on ambulance now?
3. We got 3 in there.
The rest of them are probably J-Town Fire.
4 J-Town, I think 4 are Anchorage Middletown. There's some over by Osgood, Santa Claus, Huntington.
So the word's getting out.
Oh yeah, we pulled in a lot. There, like I said, there's only 3 that are from Scott County EMS. The rest are driving, some of them driving 2.5 hours. So, I mean, I think we're setting good for the continuation of the program.
When's your next training? When your meeting running? Your day set?
It's varying due to his, because some days he'll
I like
call me,
it.
he'll tell me I'm not gonna make it, and we'll discuss stuff over the phone, and some days he'll just show up.
And you'll email us if there's any.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
On this page, after the bar graph, this is something Jim Freeman came down early, when was it? I want to say in October, we sat down for a couple hours and talked. This is basically a trend from 2015 to, and he estimated the rest of 2019. As you see the calls, those were the billable calls that we had ran. As you see, they're gradually going down, and he straight up told me face to face, he's like, I have no clue why they're going down. We looked at everything going on. He said the main thing that he contributes everything to, and this is not just us, he said this is every company that he represents throughout the state, that it's due to insurance purposes, you know, increasing out-of-pocket things, deductibles, people not having insurance.
Talking about your runs, or are you talking about the volume?
The calls, that is billable calls. That is what we can bill with. We usually give or take a couple hundred, around 5,000. But these are the ones that we've actually billed for.
Ever calls them?
Not necessarily.
What are we doing it for?
The people have the right to refuse. If they call us out because they don't feel right, we get out there. By the time we get there, they're like, I feel better now. I don't need to go.
We're down 17%.
Yeah, and he said that, and he's like, Tyler, he's like, I have no rhyme or reason why. I kind of did some studying and looking back, because as you got into 15 and 16, that was like our major HIV and opioid outbreak. And I looked as far as in 2016, you know, according to our records, we gave Narcan 176 times. And we went 17 was 74, 18, 61, and then from 1/1 to 11/19, we've given it 57 times. So I don't know if the health department's just doing a good job. This is something I wrote down on a piece of paper on this. This is what
How much was that number?
The 2016 is 176 times.
And then what were the other numbers?
17 was 74, 2018 was 61, and this year till 11/19 was 57. And like I said, I don't know if the health department's just doing their job, making sure that everybody has availability to Narcan if need be, and we're not getting the calls, and the police department are doing their job. That's the only thing I contribute our area to that being there.
If the police do it, they're gonna call you anyway, so.
Yeah, then we get there and they sign SOR, then yeah.
That is something that, I'd be interested in, I guess. Is the Narcan distributed for the police and the EMS through the health department?
Yeah.
It can be. They have, if they need to have it, you know, we will give the police department and the sheriff's department, if they ask for it. They've also got the capability through the program to get it on their own as well.
I would be interested in knowing, because it's like this, we know how many times you dispense it. I'd be interested in knowing how many times it's been dispensed.
Since July 1st, I have given out the health department almost 1,500 doses.
And we also track that in the 911 center. I can bring you a report that every time Narcan was administered.
But that's not 1,500 times it's been used.
No, that's given out, and then we are now tracking, I don't have that information with me, but we are now tracking when we have encounters with the clients, how many they have used, and how many doses and how many people they have used it on. So we have got numbers for that now that we've been reporting since probably at least July. And I'd be more than happy to get those numbers to you if you'd like, because it's on a report that we get every month.
I'd like to see them.
Yeah.
I'd be curious how many people self-administer, because, you know, we always been told that if you self-administer, you still need to go to the hospital because you're gonna overdose again, so.
We report that too, and we tell them that, but there again, the fear of being arrested because they have overdosed is prevalent, and so if they're feeling better, then they choose not to.
Oh, I understand that.
100%.
Yeah. I'd be kind of curious if you send that to me or something.
I can get those figures
I'd love
tomorrow.
to know how many times somebody can tell you that they've been doing it, so.
Yeah, because Greg, I know they log it every time, because whenever I'm scanning, I can hear Austin and Scottsburg City, they'll say, advise EMS that Narcan's been administered, and they log it in their CAD, so they'll have a pretty good accurate number too as well.
Correct, for all law enforcement and any responder, fire, whoever says there's.
Well, some of the reduction in call volume, I've said this before, you know, that might be a good thing. If EMS's numbers are down, then people are healthier, there's less accidents, there's less people overdosing, and that could be a positive thing. So I mean, well, but I mean, you're a service. I mean, you're not in the business. I mean, and yes, I understand that I'd love the EMS service to be self-sufficient and make enough money to support itself, but it's a service, and if that service need goes down, that means it's a positive on one end. You know, so I mean, I think it's good.
I'm just trying to figure out here, I guess, on the page here.
Oh, that's good.
So, in 2015, the revenue, is that billable revenue?
Yes.
Or is that the actual revenue?
That is
Billable.
what, out of the 4233 calls that we did in 2015, we revenued 1.3 million.
You brought in that.
You got
That's
that?
what we brought in.
Okay.
Yes.
And 16, we were up. 17, there was a small decline. 18 was back up. And for 19, we're at 633,000, we're 50%.
Yeah, that was what he projected through January 1 to June 1.
So that's a half a year.
Yeah, that's half a year. And I went through at the end that what I wrote in there, January 1st to 11/19, when I finished this, was at 3,200, was still a month and a half.
But what so again, I'm gonna go by your numbers on the next page as far as your deposits and all that. It looks to me like that right now, overall, you have $967,000.
Yeah, that number actually will go up because I received the email with what was deposited from the 11th through 15th of November. So that number is actually higher sitting on my desk right now.
But we have charged $2,489,000. So we're not at 50%.
We're actually at 45% return is what we are. And that essentially could be due to insurance and their timeline of what they're going to pay. It could be stuff that's held up with Medicare or Medicaid stuff, or it's simply what's out there in self-pay. And so that's where New World comes in and goes after the outstanding balances.
So backing up on the 18, 17, 15, this was what we took in. What was billable at that time? Do you remember? I mean, do you have any numbers on that?
No, I would have to have them send everything back up. But that would be something to compare to actually what that is with what we build.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering here.
I can get that and report that next.
I mean, surely, God, we're above the 50% mark on what we're, I think, I would hope. I don't know, I'm just looking at, I don't know how any business can sustain if they can't collect over 50% of what they're building. I mean, that's a scary thought.
Oh, I agree, because whenever I did the figures today, the math, I was like, God, that's less than 50% of what we build up in return. But like I said, some of this may go into next year, where we may finally get our deposit, 30 days from now. So it could be actually end of December, maybe the first of January before we receive some payments for 2019. So but I agree with you. I'd have to get what was actually billed to what we received for 2018.
So what is your total budget for 19? What was your total budget?
what we asked for.
What you got?
What we
What's the
had, I have to, actually took it out. I'd have to look at it because I don't have, this don't have all my wages and stuff in it, but we have 378,150 for all of our 200 and 300 and 400 series as far as our capital outlays. And then we had another addition of 750,000, I think that was appropriated for, I think it was payroll, is what we had, because that has it separate. But yeah, we allocated 750,162 for payroll.
So we have to, based off of that, for EMS not to lose money, they gotta bring in over $1 million, and we're not there, and which we could be, I guess, by the end of the year yet. But it's, so basically, we need to be $1.1 million, $1.2 million to break even.
Yeah, and for one, if that's the case, then what was Teresa, when she says we're projected to make 1.5, but we're at 1.6, what is those numbers referencing?
You would have to
Ask her?
probably
Okay.
what that was based on criteria, but.
'Cause that's-
you kind of looked at your revenue in the past and probably what you've been showing and projected. With budgets, it's a good guess.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And that's, the smallest year we had was $1,200,000, $234,000. So that's what she was looking at there.
And that's still $100,000 in additional operating cash. So that's, if you're $1 million, that's great, that's 10%, but that's still, again, you can see how your receivables can run. You can be off and then have a little bit of a windfall because things all of a sudden break loose and you collect, so.
And like I said, I wish I had a rhyme or reason for why it's dropping. I don't, Jim don't. And out of anything, he would be the one I think would have any understanding. Because I keep a sharp eye at all these facilities. I'm not seeing other ambulances coming in. So as far as I know, we're the only one that's doing the transport.
And that's what I was going to ask you there is the number of down calls. Is it from transports or is it down from emergencies or is it both?
It's picked up on the transfer part out of the hospital, but a lot of the stuff is where they're simply just refusing, or they're just self-pay, or a lot of these bigger calls. I look at the road report, look at the face sheet, and self-pay, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get very little or probably nothing. And they're bigger calls like helicopter flyouts and stuff that is a substantial bill, but we're at the mercy of the insurance and them at that point for what they're going to pay.
So, then to sustain itself, you have to be able to, if the revenue's not gonna continue to go up, then you need to be finding ways and tell the board how to control the cost.
See, that's one thing, and John asked.
So you have to be able to do that, or
John
it'll never
asked,
sustain itself. So you have to find ways to spend less money. And I think what we need to do, I'm not talking, but I think the board needs to understand exactly what you're gonna do to cut the cost.
Because I know what John brought up there a minute ago, and I'm listening to that, I'm looking at these numbers. I mean, we're down 17% on runs, but yet you're talking about putting a third truck on.
Yes, I get that.
I don't see, I mean, I don't.
I agree wholeheartedly, because somebody said something about a third truck, I said that's going to be hard considering we're down overall 17.5%. I said something crazy is going to have to happen.
I mean, I don't want our service to be, second to none, no doubt, but I don't know how you can justify putting a third truck on when the numbers is down.
I agree. I see that from my end, but it's hard to get them to see it when they're the ones out there running. And I try to explain it to them.
You know where that came from, too.
Yes, I probably do. So I see it and I know it, and I try to explain it to them, but they don't see it from my point of view and your point of view like I do. So it's just a matter of trying to get them to understand.
And I discussed with Brandon, so I assume he would discuss it.
Okay. All right. Well, we thank you for the update, and let us know I would like to know how it winds up at the end of the year there.
Yeah, I'll come back at the end of the,
Yeah.
beginning of next year for the final quarter.
Okay.
I've got one more thing. Earlier this year, I purchased new mattresses for the bunk rooms. I have 6 8-inch mattress pads now. They can't go to Sheriff's Farm because I thought about donating them because they got coils in them. What can we do to donate them to the church, or what do we, because they're just stacked up in our multi-purpose room, just kind of taking up space right now.
We should donate them or sell them at the auction.
You got any use for them, Greg?
Nasty used mattresses? No.
Who says they're nasty?
They're used, and I
They're
don't
they're not
care.
cloth, they're like a weird, easily,
I'm gonna suggest we put them in a dumpster and get rid of them.
okay, if that's what you all want to do, then
I mean,
I can do that months ago.
I mean, we can't make any money on it all.
No.
They're that bad.
No, they're in really good shape. They got that weird micro, almost like a plastic covering. They're like a dorm room mattress.
What about the animal shelter?
Is there a
or
homeless-
somewhere? I
Is
mean,
there a homeless shelter that, or a church that's doing that?
I would investigate that before I would.
Because that's what they was like, we'd like to donate them somewhere if we can, but.
I'm like, either we can sell them at the auction or dispose of them.
Dispose of them.
So are they,
The safest thing is dispose of them.
Okay.
I don't know, because I'm gonna be quite honest
I
with
get
you.
mattresses.
I would have to research this right here, but it,
You might check with Becky Thomas, or Billy Snowden with, one of the churches up at Austin. They've got supplies of food and clothing and everything, and there might be something that, they could use it for.
are these sealed?
Yeah, there's I don't know how to explain the coding, but all you can do is wipe them down with like a micro.
So it's like a hospital mattress?
Yeah, they're not like a cloth, or they're not pillow top or anything like that. These are,
I would say if you can't donate them somewhere, dispose of them.
Okay, all right, I just wanted.
That's good, Bob, legally get rid of them.
I'm just putting it on you all because
Safest thing is get rid of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm for that thing.
So just get rid of them.
my opinion, you
Alright,
know,
I'll check them tomorrow then.
you know, I'm a firm believer that no good deed goes unpunished, and I think that's the thing we do.
Yeah, because mattresses rule.
Yes, and I think you're better off.
You've seen some in houses though.
Yeah, but I've had a nibble.
So, yeah, there you go.
Okay, other than that, any other questions, gentlemen?
Not at this time.
Alright.
I don't, you guys?
Alright. Thank
Remember
you all.
remember the house on
Thank
Main?
you.
Remember the house on Main?
Highway Department, come on up.
I have what she needs right here.
You do?
I just need signatures. She needs signatures. The first thing is
You want to have
notice.
anything to talk about? Don't you have anything to report?
I would like to compliment,
Monday will be Pleasant Ridge.
I would like to compliment you on the first snowfall. Thought you done a wonderful job.
Thank you,
Very great.
appreciate that, appreciate that. And you saw the picture of the beams on Crothersville. They're still gonna be,
I did.
well, you need to get on Facebook. Social media,
Looks like 3 or 4 more weeks though, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I get that a lot on that one. But you're doing all you can do.
What's that been down 3 weeks now for? Has it been down that many?
Have you got any kind of update from the state on 256?
December the 15th was the last thing we were told,
So they've moved
to
up.
open for winter.
That's what, yeah, I've heard December 1st.
But I
they-
also heard they're running behind,
Yeah.
so I,
They've got on Terry Road, I see where they're disposing all the dirt and everything, they got a quite a setup back there. I don't know who owns that property, or they own
I
it.
believe, no, they do not own it, I believe that is Brown's
Kevin
property, is it
Brown.
not?
Yeah, it's
Kevin Brown, yeah.
pretty amazing what's back there.
Yeah. So anyway, what Tammy's got is January, we do the annual bids, and we'll also do the community crossing paving bids. So I just need you to sign those to be able to submit those to contractors and vendors to get the bids in. And the last thing she has is a sign inventory contract the state sent back that I need signed, and that's it.
Motion to sign.
So be it.
Yeah, second.
All three? All three.
You know,
Motion to
three.
sign all three documents.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what'd you end up doing with the paper?
Actually,
Find the paper?
well, we had a call today that one pump is bad, and it's gonna be $6,000 to replace it, and we still have 2 more pumps out. So we will end up buying paper no matter what.
So you still have the 2 that you're working on, or are they still available?
Yes, they're still available. And we did, go look at the striper.
You did?
Yes, we did. And,
Striper as far as striping the roads?
yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Is there a liability on that?
That's what I asked.
Can we find out, because I've
I
worked,
did.
it's kind of.
Clark County does their own. We talked to them about it.
So it is a liability?
Well, no, they didn't have any. I mean, they even, like John, you asked about striking the sides.
Yeah.
He has a truck that does that, but
Who's
their
got it?
roads,
Sorry.
Clark County,
Oh, okay.
their roads are wider than ours, obviously, for
Yeah.
the most part, but
Yeah, that would be nice.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's also, one line is about $1,000 per mile. One line,
Yeah. Wow, I get you.
because of the glass beads
Yeah,
that you have to
really
put down for
reflective.
reflective, so,
Yeah, and there's some legalities on what roads we can do and can't do,
right,
to the width.
right.
But I do hear that a lot from people, and especially in bad weather,
Yeah,
that they're, had real trouble seeing the sides of the road.
yeah.
So it's something, I'm glad you're looking at it. Thank you. We're going to sign on this. Oh, sorry.
Might as well sign it twice.
But we also looked at buying one too, striper.
Yes.
Yeah. I know.
Now that, Clark County had theirs attached to a truck. It was pretty, it was a pretty nice setup, but he's retiring. He did do ours. It was a very nice setup, but theirs was a little more costlier than what we have.
Not signed that one, I don't.
I guess the question I would have there is,
Yeah, I'm in.
are they striping all the time, or is it something that we can borrow?
Well, we asked, I asked that too.
Long ago.
The problem would be is it's hooked to a truck. So they're bringing their equipment to another county, and their employee would be the one that would need to run it. So it would get a little, I'm not saying the guy wouldn't yet, but it'd be a little tricky.
So it could be something that we could trade off, maybe something for something. Is that property? Anyway, so.
The guy was very nice, so he said he'd come and show us, you know, if we did get one like theirs, he would come and train or do anything. They were super nice, and they actually had, the same guy, ran a sign office. He had, and we learned a lot there that we're gonna try to implement on making some of these roads. They're private, they're gonna be blue, and we can decal those ourselves. That saves a lot of money for the county, so.
Where have I heard that before?
I'll show you the number.
Well, I'd say once they're striped, that stripe's probably good for,
We didn't ask him.
I know, but it's probably good for several years, I mean.
Yeah. Although Coffee Pot was striped in 13, and it doesn't look too hot anymore.
I can see some of the roads out there where you can see the line, but
Yeah,
you have to start looking though.
Yeah.
I think the guys were going up Salem Road too, patching out there.
Is that all you got, since you never come up here?
Yeah, just those three.
I signed everything.
Is Bob still signing, or is he done? Are you done?
I've got all three of them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is the interviews for the Veterans Officer position and Planning Commission Board Inspector.
Do you all want to set your interview sessions, executive sessions to interview your applicants, you had your envelopes a couple of weeks ago.
I've got the veterans, I have that
Yes,
on
the envelope.
the
That's, because that isn't opposed to the 22nd.
Okay,
Actually, I don't know that I got one.
I think it's in your box, I think. Did you already pick your, you should have one. It
All I
may have
had,
been
all I
with-
had was a letter.
She made one for each one, but well, I'll find it. If not, I'll get you copies.
So how many applicants did we get?
Three.
Between 2 rounds, we got 3 applicants. We ran it for 4 weeks.
But we don't get what we get. I mean, 'cause we're asked for a part-timer. So,
So do you guys have a particular day or time that you want to do, try to coordinate and get all 3 of them? That way you can have them all in one evening or one day or?
I would-
put them all.
Why don't we, you're saying all what?
On the,
Both positions?
I think it'd be good to do both positions same night.
That's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah, do them all.
Well, you'll close on the 22nd for your building inspector's position.
That's right, that's
That's
Friday.
Friday. So
Yeah.
do you want to look at this, you guys are on conference first week of
Before
December.
Thanksgiving? You'll be all right before then, Thanksgiving?
Could you
Work
do
it
it
in.
Monday or Tuesday before, not Wednesday, maybe Monday or Tuesday before Thanksgiving?
Tuesday evening, yeah,
Is that okay?
Yeah, I think so, I think I've got something Monday.
Back in both job applications on one.
Yeah, one.
And there still could be more come in on,
Right, between now and Friday.
yeah.
But we can get those done
How
and
many
we
you
can
have
have.
on
I
the?
tell you what, let's do this, let's make sure that everybody has the, by Monday, we'll have all the applications for the building inspector's position. Let's make sure that we either send them or just stop by and pick them up, and that way you can look over it, and by
We'll have
Monday,
them Monday morning.
by, what, well, if we do it Tuesday, that wouldn't give much time to maybe schedule them in. Because I don't know how many we're gonna get from the building inspector's job, and some of them we may not, I'm not saying we'll interview everybody, you know what I'm saying? What do you think? We all pick out who we want to interview.
If she gets them all in on Friday, she can call them on Friday and say, hey, you know,
If you can pick a time Tuesday, then if you, I can call you guys and between me and Lisa, we can get ahold of all 3 of you, if that's okay, and tell you our applicants' names. And if you've got any questions, then you can tell me how many interviews you want to schedule between the 2 and whatnot. We can work that out.
I don't have a problem with all that, but I can see this being an all-day thing if we have enough applicants.
nah, the last time we gave a half hour, 45 minutes to everybody, and it went pretty fast. We had 6. Is that what we had?
6, yeah, I think,
And
yeah.
the other thing is, if you all looked in advance, maybe you're able to exclude somebody.
That's what I was saying.
Or before you
Yeah.
get here, so you just don't interview somebody.
Yeah.
If you want
You don't
to
have to interview everybody.
look at what I have so far on both job applications, then you can tell me what you want to tell me on those, okay?
Okay.
And then that'll give me at least a start, and if there's any 1 or 2 that comes in between now and Friday on the other, there might not be any. We may be done, and then I can start scheduling interviews.
Yeah.
How's that? Meet me after the meeting, how's that?
I had 4 people call me.
Okay.
All right, what do you think? What time should we do?
5:36.
We talked about Monday or Tuesday.
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 Yeah, that's fine with me. Tuesday, 5, I don't care.
5 work for you?
Yeah.
Let's do it at 5 o'clock Tuesday.
So start scheduling at 5, and then just whenever we work out, it's gonna be what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, consideration of the minutes from October. All right.
While we're talking about the building inspector, what's your thoughts about doing the part-time position until, you know, because right now we got a Dollar General building going up that's not had the first inspection on it, and, you know, it's under roof, and I'll let Marty talk a little bit about what she's
I'll
behind.
be glad to. Gentlemen, you should each have a 3-page list. And those represent the phone call backlog that was on EGA's phone. I did not have his security code and was unable to return calls until Monday. or Tuesday. And so I have returned over 60 calls, because some of those calls should have been directed to me in the first place. Most people, I mean, you know, I tell them, well, go ahead and take pictures and go ahead, but I can't do that forever.
Where I'm at with this is, and I know we did it before when we had some time off,
Right.
That we brought somebody in part-time to keep the slate moving. And like I said, I think we've gotten a good position over the last few years of, you know, doing some good inspections and holding some people to the fire. So I'd hate to see some of that fall away with some people building stuff that we're not watching, so.
Well, what I fear is that people say, oh, well, shoot, why do I need a permit?
Yeah.
You know?
I'd be one of
Or worse, if somebody builds a building doesn't meet the code and we should have seen it, we didn't.
those. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
there are
where-
gonna be some of these that are so far
Especially
along.
commercial building.
They're pouring
Yeah,
concrete.
Dollar General just scares the hell out of them.
Yeah, I was up
But
there.
it's not, is it listed on this list?
No, because they apparently have never called. There is nothing on the worksheet, nothing.
Yeah,
So
they're on the roof.
I do not know if Lee has been out there at all.
Well, and that goes up fast when they do
Oh,
those.
yeah.
So, I mean, you can be out there one day and the next day and they
So
got three sides on it.
So I guess it's their responsibility to call once they get so far along
Yeah,
for this, and we've not inspected it, huh?
as far as I know, no.
Interesting.
Well, I'm sure they have a general contractor that's probably, I'm hoping is looking over everyone's shoulder, but,
But we built a jail over here the same way though. I know we're talking about next week or whatever to do interviews and stuff, but I mean, I don't know what your pleasure is. I mean, preferably, I'd rather have somebody that can hit the ground and be, watching some of this stuff and following up, because like Bob said, once they get so far, they're not gonna wait for an inspector to show up. They've got a crew and they're moving on, as well as the homeowner. The homeowner wants it done.
yeah.
And,
Yeah, I just had a lady come in wanting 3 permits, and I couldn't issue any of them because she unfortunately didn't have the paperwork ready. But she's saying, oh my gosh, well, they want to put in photos tomorrow. And I said, I don't think they're going to do that.
Well, if you had interviews Tuesday and you hired somebody, they can't do the job on Wednesday. I mean, there's a learning curve for some folks, they just can't do that. They need to learn how to do something.
Well,
There's some certifications and.
well, the person I'm talking about part-time is the gentleman sitting right there that filled in for Lee last time. So, that's, I mean,
I have some information I'd like to hand out to you all, just if you give me an opportunity, just whenever you get time.
but like I said, he's willing to start tomorrow and try to get us caught up, but that's, I mean, I'm just talking for myself, so.
Bring it on up, Mike.
I'm sorry?
Bring it on up for information.
I think I've made myself known on this. Mike's that great, I don't have an issue with him at all.
Sit down too long, language still.
But I do have an issue with putting anybody in this position where we'll be looking at a hiring next week. To me,
I talked to John on the phone
Yeah.
about that.
And you're great, you're not the issue. I have a problem with the process. To me,
Here's
it's
a
like,
resume, I just wanted to give that to everybody, Tammy's already got it, and I already put out an application the other day, so she had it.
I wouldn't be for hiring anybody in the interim who's in the application process for full time. Quite simply because I think that makes it unfair to the other people who are applying. It would be be hard to look at that and say, I already know who they're considering. I think I know who they want. And I have a problem with that, and it's no secret, I would not be for that. Now, what I'm for when we get in the hiring process is a different thing. But we've got 3 or 4 other people going to apply for this job, and they can come in here and say, well, why didn't you hire me in? I mean, maybe they're qualified too.
They could have come to the meeting too.
Well, they didn't know, Mike. I'm not trying to be difficult, but they didn't know we were going to do this tonight. This is kind of our little discussion. And I know the need's here, but I don't think the need justifies the hiring process not being, in my opinion. I know everybody don't agree with me, but it's not going to justify what to me is perceived to be looked at like we're hiring somebody for ever have the application process. I know not everybody's going to agree with me, and it might even be totally legal to hire you, but I think the perception is very wrong. And so therefore, I won't be for it.
So I've got a perception of, since the day I became a commissioner, that perception has been my perception of probably every hire that's ever been hired in the county, because I don't think anything was ever hired fairly. And that's my opinion, and I'm sure there's that, like everything else, everybody's got their own opinion. But I hire people all the time, and we had a director that we had an interim director in the EMS for over a year or close to a year before we ever hired that person, and yes, it was that person as well. But everybody's got their opinion. My whole thing here is that if we have a willing, able person that has done this before, because we've called on him before to do this, to me, that wouldn't tilt my vote, or through an interview process whatsoever. I mean, Mike's going to come into the interview just like your 4 people or whoever 4 people that you talk to. So those 4 people is going to come in as well. So if you think I'm going to shade one over the other or anything else, whoever's the most qualified person and is who I'd hire. So,
but we could have hired any of the other people in the application process if they're qualified. And to me, we're having the inauguration before they're having the election.
I guess my question is, right now, in the county, total from 2018 and 2019, just what this printout is, and that's not even saying the Dollar General's on here, correct?
That's not on there.
Okay, right now, it's 191 jobs that are going on in our county. They have not been looked at some stage, or they are finished, or they haven't received a C of O. And a lot of banks these days require you to have a C of O to close your bank loan.
Yeah.
So.
Because I've had a couple of calls about that.
I have not argued the need at all. There's absolutely need, should have been something, I wish we would have had a long time. I have a problem with the problem.
From that original list
Oh,
that I gave you,
okay, yeah.
and then there were approximately 65 calls on these funds. But as I say.
And then also, that does not pertain like the state design releases too for all your commercial buildings, or class 1 structures, those are the ones that are very important as much as these are. Just for instance, let's just say like the Scott County Health Department, because I remodeled that building when I worked for LACO Construction. So, though you had to have a state design release in order to have ADA requirements and things of that nature. So right now, how do you know those things are getting done properly?
Oh, I know.
So, state design releases are a big thing, because I worked with the Indiana Homeland Security for 6 months when I did this job last time, and they were very helpful in that field to cover our county, the liability part. So,
like I said, I just don't want to get far behind here, and we are already far behind. But I mean, I don't want somebody coming back later and us getting sued, or us trying to hold somebody to the fire on what they've done, since we really have done nothing to lead them or guide them or turn them down for something, or say, hey, don't do that. That's not going to meet specs. And quite honestly, I don't know all these people, and quite honestly, the other part of that is that if a contractor's out there, then they know lead's not available and that lead's not coming out, they're going to do whatever they want, because they're gonna slap the concrete in the ground and they're gonna be gone.
And your code requirements, like the Indian Homeland Security people, they're about like an attorney. They can speak it like Spanish or any other language. All your small communities like us, we have to refer to books and amendments to those codes that come in on those books. So as far as the learning process, it's basically you get out in the field and you go do your job and you refer back to your manuals, and then you reach out to your resources that you've got in other counties. That's what I did, Floyd, Bartholomew, Jackson, all these places, because I know a lot of people in that area. That's what I did when I did that job, and I felt like it was
I just don't want to be.
Well, let me say this. I think there's a potential liability, because if something is constructed and it's not inspected according to what our responsibility is, then the commissioners have breached their responsibility to get it inspected. And so you're taking a chance by going another, in my mind, it could easily be another 6 weeks or 8 weeks before you have somebody that may or may not understand what the job is about. And we've already had a period. So if there's a problem with a building because it was not inspected, it's all about the safety. That's the whole thing for the safety. It's not about getting permits. It's not about keeping banks happy. It's about safety. So if we allow something to be built that is not safe, it's a liability for the county. So it's one way.
We've been liable for 2 or 3 years.
No. Well, you have. But you've had an inspector. Wait, John. You've had an inspector available most of that time. So, and Lee, I think, understood the job and he had some limitations.
I mean,
But he did a pretty good job. And I think we had somebody doing the inspections. If we don't have anybody doing the inspections, then there is a potential liability that you need to understand.
Well, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but also, you also have to understand the way that that office has been ran over the years. It's not updated. It's not. You know, there's more ways to be more efficient about getting the job permits looked at. Well, again, I'm not trying to be smart aleck or nothing. I mean,
all right, here's where I'm at. I see what John says, and I understand our liability point here too. I'm gonna say this is I'm going to say that if we do this, that it's certainly, I do want to look at all applications, and I hope you would understand that.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that by no means would be saying that you would, have a leg up on anybody or anything else. I know you've done it in the past, and I appreciate that. Again, but there's got to be a process that allows people to put in for the job, and I'll just be honest, my decision wouldn't be till I seen all in, and again, somebody comes in more qualified, I mean, that'd be where I'd be
that's
at.
part of applying for a position.
Yeah.
If I get the position, I can start the next day.
Are you working anywhere now, Mike?
For myself. I mean, my resume's right there.
I know that. I'm just asking. You didn't quit your job.
I quit my job because I was kind of under the impression that I possibly was going to be able to do this job in the interim, and these jobs don't come open very often. So I took an opportunity and quit my job because of this. If I don't get this job, that's fine. I can go back to my job that I quit before. That's not a problem.
Okay, I'm just.
What I'm saying is, it's hard to get jobs like these.
Yes, sir.
It really is. And everybody tries to get these jobs. And I've been in this community my whole life, and I think I'm a pretty well-respected person. And so that's why I did what I did.
And I appreciate you. And I know this sounds like I'm against you, and I'm not.
No.
But in just my due opinion, you wouldn't have quit your job if you didn't think you had a job coming.
Well, I mean, my wife works for the state. We do good with our bills, so, I guess if I thought that I was throwing my family under the bus and not going to put food on the table, then no, I wouldn't have did that, but I'm not in that position.
You thought you had a job coming.
Good. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be difficult.
No,
This is where I'm coming from.
Actually, I think that's unfair because he didn't know he had a job coming. There was a conversation between Tammy and myself, and him about doing something on a part-time basis. And he knew it was a part-time basis. He knew that there was gonna be a full-time opportunity. The full-time opportunity wasn't, hey, I'm gonna work part-time and I'm gonna roll into the full-time position. So that job is gonna be posted, just like everybody else's job is gonna be posted. So the only conversation that was had between Tammy, myself, and Mike was that, can you do this on a temporary basis so that we can get, you know, valid inspections on some equipment and get caught up instead of having stuff. And everybody knows this is winter time. These guys are trying to get stuff under the roof for the winter, and they're pouring concrete and they're doing stuff that we haven't seen anything on. So in turn, Mike wasn't promised a job or anything else. So
Correct.
So he was going to apply just like everybody else for the position.
Right.
The only thing here was that he was going to help us, and this started a couple weeks ago, so it wasn't like it was, you know, something that was trying to slide behind somebody's back. So it was a part-time position and no guarantee of a full-time job. So.
Okay.
So I take it we're going to wait until we do the application process, and we're going to be further down the road.
I guess I'm a little confused. I'm trying to figure this out here, and I'm sitting here thinking about this. But there is nothing on the agenda about hiring an interim for this position.
I just put it on generally speaking because I've got a job description for you guys to take a look at. I know Marty was gonna talk to you about the backlog, and I just put it on Plan Commission Building Inspector position. And I just left it open for however the discussion ended up, because I didn't know for sure which direction it would turn tonight. So I just left it open that way.
And I basically just want to come in and introduce myself, even though I already know you gentlemen and ladies, you know, but I just felt more appropriate that, you know, to come in and see you face to face, so.
I think you're very well qualified. I don't misunderstand me. I just
No, that's
have
fine.
an issue with putting anybody in the interim position.
Believe me, I've been in these positions on this side of where you guys are at too, so I know how it goes, and there's no hard feelings.
And from what I've heard, you did it for 5 or 6 months, did a good job.
Thank you.
So, I don't want to mislead you thinking we're not for you. Yes, you are.
No, that's.
I'm just not
fine.
big on the interim thing.
No, you know, it's not one of those things where, you know, hey, I'm walking out on my job. You know, it was a big thought process for me. You know, because I've been waiting since 2013 for Lee to retire. I've known Lee my whole life, and you know, so like I said, these jobs don't come around very often.
Right.
So, but I appreciate your time.
Thank you for putting up with me.
No.
I've been a little difficult right now.
No.
I want to make sure we do things.
Well, I think to make this
I agree.
legal, we would have to, at this point, to consider this, we need to add it to the agenda, correct?
No.
You don't think we didn't need to do that to make it to hire an interim? Or
I don't think so.
you don't think we would?
No.
So we don't need a motion to add that on to act upon it?
No. I don't think so.
I think I have enough on there.
Do you think it's enough?
I don't know if that's, I'll let that.
I don't think it makes,
legal.
I think it's fine.
I do think that, like I said, I do think that we are in a position where we could be setting ourselves up, and I'm certainly all right with hiring an interim myself.
Well,
Again, I will say, and I will say that, you know, just what I said before, is that no one puts it in your, as a full-time position until we go through the application process. And I'm not going to guarantee that I would not support somebody else if they're more qualified. Now, if they're not, that's just the way it is. I'm like Mike, I'm going to look for the most qualified position here, personally.
You know, I want you to, you know, I live in this county and that's,
And it makes sense.
it makes sense, so.
So, at that point, I mean, I don't have a problem with this. And I'm assuming, again, Bob was saying that a minute ago, and I'm assuming until we look at this job description, I guess, even though he's done this before, can he hit the ground running tomorrow or the next day? Or is there something that we need to look at on that?
And the reason why I'm saying I can do that, because when I came back in 2013, Lee had been off and on quite a bit with his previous wife, which had cancer, of course.
Sure,
you know.
yeah.
And there was quite a bit of backlog at that point.
I think what Bob's asking.
I mean, there's no certification.
This is for whoever you hire in 2 or 3 weeks, okay? This is redoing that so they know what they're expected of when you get your full-time person.
All right. Well, then at that point, I mean, I guess we can do that now. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I'm certainly be in favor of putting somebody in there until we get through this process. I don't have a problem with that. I know, John, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you 100%. But I do think it's something that we need. We've got a lot of people sitting out here waiting on things that I think we can relieve them. I don't want anybody to be holed up with the weather like it is coming, and so I don't have a problem with it. But I need, I guess, a form of a motion to, if we're going to put Mike in that position as interim until we go through the hiring process.
I'll make the motion to hire Mike on an interim level, and by no means would that qualify him to automatically get the permanent job. So I want that clarified.
Completely understood.
I said, I'll be like Bob, just reiterating. If there's more qualified person, then, you know, we may go a different direction. So, I mean, we're gonna hire the best person for the job, so.
Understood.
All right, hearing the motion. I will second the motion and put it down as 2-1 vote to allow him to fill in until the job applications are in and we do the interviews. So, interim position and as far as I'm concerned, I guess we'll start tomorrow morning, as far as I'm concerned.
And the hours again,
8:30.
8:30 to 4:30, correct, okay. Well, as far as like getting a key to the courthouse right now, last time they did, so that's gonna be an issue, so.
Yeah.
Give it Greg, he can get you the.
Okay.
We'll give him a badge, but he won't need a key.
Yeah.
I have an on visitor badge.
Well, yeah.
You can do this outside the meeting.
Sorry.
Yes.
All right.
Greg.
All right, considerations of minutes from October 11th.
Oh, I do, your job description, I need to talk to you about your building inspector job description really quickly.
And that down the line?
No, it's part of that position.
Okay.
Okay, you've got your updated job description as best as I could get it from Wagner Urban Machinery. The major thing is we have your floodplain administrator, which is a state requirement to have somebody designated as that at your county level. The only thing missing is who do they report to, and I can tell them the board of commissioners, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, then once that's done, I'll have a good job description for you to have at your interview, okay? I'll get that updated. If you guys will approve that one for me with the update to who do they report to, the board of commissioners, then I will get a good copy for you for your interviews, if you'll approve that.
I got a motion to approve the job description for the building inspector confirmation.
I'll make the motion.
Second? I'll second.
It says right here, G, state certification.
Is Kent saying?
Yes, that's where it came from.
Special plan?
Sorry, she has visitor's badges. Right.
And it's basically what you had before, I just added floodplain administrator and talked a little bit more about the permitting. That's all. And then I'll get that information changed.
Okay.
Now you're ready.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do them.
October 2nd and 10th.
I'll make a motion.
Motion
Accept them
made.
both.
Motion made to accept the minutes for the 2nd and the 10th. Second?
Second.
Unanimous. Payroll docket ratification for November the 8th. Hear a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second? Unanimous. Next up is the consideration of the general election claims.
What you have in there in your packet is a summary of the claim totals. If you want to review the claim packet, right here, what they are people that are paid at the election time, that gets them out of our regular monthly claim, and they get their money before Thanksgiving.
Total amount of $4,956.98. That was for training judges, inspectors, clerks, in-house workers, and per diem and mileage. So for a total of $4,956.98.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion? John made a motion, second? You see it?
Yeah.
I'll make it. You got this one, or I do?
I want you to sign this one if you don't mind, right there where the red X is at.
Signed by the red X.
Yep.
That election claims, is that something Missy budgeted?
Yes,
So
that's
the
part of the
clerk's
election
office
budget.
Thought so. Clerk.
All right, next up is the cancellation of the December 4th, 2019 meeting and reschedule or allow conditional approval on November 2019 monthly claims.
See, that's the biggest problem with that, is that we have the whole month of November's claims that are gonna get mailed out on the 5th. If we email you the claim list and we don't hear any objections from you all, does that mean, could you make the motion tonight to approve payment of the November monthly claims, provided there is no written objection to the auditor for any payments, and we can get those out in the mail, and you don't have to meet anytime that first week. And my suggestion, if it's okay with you, have our regular middle of the month meeting and have a final right before the year ends meeting to clear out the claims. We usually have to meet 3 times in December anyway, so we'll just forego the first one and have one in the middle of the month to end. Is that okay?
I think you should also, well, I think that's fine.
Make the motion.
I think you should also ratify them when you meet
After
in the
we
middle
get
of the
back.
month.
Okay, that sounds good.
So we're gonna view them and okay them and then
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Unanimous. Indiana State Police Alliance contract termination for
I got that.
2020. You got that already?
John, yeah. And I'll write a letter.
Yes.
And
Verizon.
For January 1st, December 31st, and all year.
December 31st, at the end of the day of the 31st is there when they start.
We need a motion.
They already did it.
Oh, yeah, we did that earlier, didn't we? Yeah, okay.
I got a question about this. I met with the guys out there at Verizon on John Jones' property, or the old John Jones property. Do we own all the way back to those apartments? Is there 14 acres there?
No,
7
7.
and 7.
Well, he showed me a map, and it's 7.7 and then 7.3, and he said we owned all the way to the apartments, and I didn't think we did.
There's no 14 acres between them.
I didn't think so.
There's just 7.
Well, it's not just back, but the parking lot too.
No, I'm.
Yeah, what I'm saying.
It goes north also.
It's a total, it was a total of,
A little
actually,
shy of an 8.
it's a little shy of 8 acres.
7.7,
Yeah.
I
So
thought.
he's confused on that.
Well, he said he went to the city to April, and April said, go to the back of your property, and then the other property, I'm like, I think it's all ours, all the way to.
To the gravel road there between the apartments.
Yeah, it is. It goes all
But
the way.
anyway, where he's talking about doing this is because, again, talking with the area plan, city area plan, they weren't real happy, because I sent the text to you guys about being on the northeast corner of that property, saying that she won't allow that for the fact that it's too close to the apartments. So where that ditch runs through there is where they're talking about doing it, which is still on the northeastern side of it, but it can't be right on the corner of a piece of property because of the apartment complex. So, and also the other thing was, I think he gave a description to you to 50 by 50. I think it started out 100 by 100, and I think he shrank it to 50 by 50. The engineer that was there said it has to be 60 by 60 because of the concrete pad. So they're gonna send you another piece of paper if they haven't already.
Okay.
But anyway, if you look at the plat, or if you drive out there, there's a ditch line that runs through the center of that 7.8 acres. And at that ditch point is where he's talking about. And he may have put some flags out there. I didn't pay attention if he had any flags out there, but it's not gonna be on a corner, you know, where I would think it's gonna be here. It's gonna be back this way a little bit, so. But it's all because of, height of the tower and being, around those apartments. So if you guys got a question, he said if you got any other questions you have, or you want something different, then let him know. So you might drive by there and look at it and see if you're satisfied.
Help me out here, where exactly do you think best to put it?
Well, where I was talking about was at John Jones's building here, and then there's a parking lot, and then it goes this drive, and there's a drive goes this way and turns, and the apartments are here.
Yeah.
Well, I thought here. Well, there's a ditch that runs through here, and now he's saying here, because he's saying the closer you get to those apartments, the more I guess the area plan's gonna say no, because it's getting the fall of the tower, you know, so.
What would be
It has to be a certain amount of distance.
That's what I wanted to have in.
You mean like the distance between your tower and my building?
Correct, so that if it falls.
Yeah.
Hey, I wasn't the one who put that tower up, you know, don't look at me.
What I'm looking at, this road goes through here, right?
It's a gravel road.
Yeah,
It's not,
but what I'm looking at is, I would, understand.
I prefer
think it was, what was the tower, was it 100 feet?
it's 150, wasn't it?
190 foot,
190.
almost 200 foot, anything, and they were wanting to go 200 foot, but FAA regulations wouldn't allow them to go that high, so they put it right at, because me and them sat outside and talked about it.
I just didn't want it to be in the center out here,
Yeah,
where we can't utilize the rest of the property.
Yeah, I'm all right, but again, I think we're gonna be like they are. I mean, they said 200 feet, then the FAA's gotta be involved. I'm gonna say if it's 190 foot, put it 190 foot for them apartments. That's what
I ain't got a dog in the fight unless I get
That's
it.
what I would say. I mean, myself, what do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my thought.
If it's the,
Yeah.
if it's not gonna hit the building if
Yeah.
it falls, then what the heck?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
And most of those,
If it worked for them,
fall in
Figuring out
their footprint.
had that done.
He's putting up a monopole, so it's not gonna fall.
So it's gonna go.
Yeah, it'll go left to right on a
I'm
disaster.
not, I mean, again, I don't see that headline news that one falls that way anyway, you know. I'm gonna go out there.
Because that's where I told him,
And I think he's right on that. I think that's where I was wanting to go.
I want it back here in this corner.
Yeah, me too.
And, but that, when he goes, well, there's property that splits, and I don't know where, I told him, I said, there's not 14 acres there.
Yeah, he's far off east of this west.
But he had a map that said, it showed the property line, said 7.3 and 7.8, I believe. I'm like, unless it's across the road, and that, you know, where those apartments are.
And I appreciate the fact that April encouraged him to put it away from the apartment building. I understand that, but I don't know that's not a zoning decision that she's made.
No, it's a state law decision. She's also the building inspector and permit over there. There's a certain amount of, from that antenna going up, state law on that. We were lucky they didn't have that law when we put the antenna up at 911, or it would have never been approved there.
Well, why don't we make that, ask him to get that state law?
I think I have his card.
That way you can put it where you want it.
Yeah.
I'll get his card, and we can meet back out there. I mean, you can drive by and I won't see you, and you guys both of you will turn your head.
Understood.
And then stand on one quarter, 7.5, and I'll sit on the other.
And they made the 2% change from the commencement date. 2% a year goes up
Yes.
from the commencement date, which is the date by definition of when they start to use it, or I can't-
Build it or use it?
Well, build it. Build it. When they install the commencement date shall be the first day of the month after the lessee begins installation.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'll get with him, see what he.
Yeah, I'll drive up there and take a look at it, like I say, I might make a measurement.
I'm gonna
But
drive
we
back
got,
out and see if he's got, if he's staked it off or something. I mean, hell, we're not building it tomorrow, but.
No. I'm glad you know.
All right, with that being said, you have anything?
No, sir.
We're meeting on.
Hang on, he's gonna jump in.
Real quick, I'll make this quick. I've talked about this before. It's the Old County Health Department, and we did a little bit of figure today. We're probably spending a good $1,000 a year just on utilities. Not a whole lot of money, but it's deteriorating. I'd like for us to either use it or get rid of it. Just something to think about in the future. I just want to throw that out there. It's sitting out there costing us money, not getting used. It's going to cost us a bunch of fixing if we're not careful. So,
I know that, speaking of that, that goes back to the point that I had. I know we talked about a coroner's office, and because Jefferson County, Kentucky doesn't do autopsies for people in Indiana anymore. We as a county, our coroner has to hire a pathologist that comes into the community as a traveling pathologist. So that's a $1,500 fee every time he does that, every time he does an autopsy. So if we would have a facility for him to do that, it'd be better. And we talked to the hospital before. The hospital actually might, Everett, yeah. He had it worked out with the hospital before with the big wheels that they were going to give us 2 rooms out there. In turn, we were going to kind of give them that house or whatever, because they're going to bulldoze it down anyway. So, but anyway, that was been my whole thing is, hey, if we can get something that we need, and a coroner's office or a room and a freezer and everything else inside the hospital is where the ideal situation is anyway. So I can go back to whoever the new administrator is out there and see if he can work the deal again. So and maybe they can work something where we have a long-term lease for the property. But I'm with John. We ought to get rid of it or do something with it. It's not worth having.
And we have the morgue unit now, so we have a portable, which Dearborn County is running full-time as theirs. So you wouldn't need that expensive freezers or, all that too.
Yeah, so anyway.
Okay. I didn't bring it yet, but I agree. One, with that, we need to do something. It's just that $1,000-something.
Well, the other thing, and I mean, we need to come up with some sort of solution, whether for the 4-H down there, because I know they, with the magistrate, they need something because, them trying to find a place all the time, and I know they can use this room, but whether that's sufficient or not, if we're going to buy something, move something, build something, or remodel something, we need to get a drop-dead plan and a drop-dead date.
We've requested, talk to the appraiser. They have the information they needed. They've been communication. They've communicated with John.
All right.
All right.
That's all right. Longer.
All right.
Motion.
I was just getting to that. They was trying to rush me, but I was coming your way.
It's just the ordinance for the tattoo body piercing ordinance. We need to redate that tonight
Yes,
so we can
we need to,
advertise.
actually, we need to pass it
Re-adopt it,
again.
yes.
Re-adopt the tattoo part of it.
Get a tattoo.
That's kind of yeah.
Okay, so.
If they they approve this, then can they just initial beside there and we redate it, or do you want a whole new back page, everything?
Just redate it.
Okay.
The minutes are gonna show when it was passed,
And the
which
problem
is the
is,
20th.
it has to be advertised, Bob said 30 days.
Within 30 days.
After it was adopted, but it was adopted September 18th, but we've had a couple people like that. We just didn't work out, so we need to redo this.
I'll make a motion to accept the ordinance.
Second?
Yeah.
All right, unanimous. We'll sign beside that.
Okay.
How about you, Mr. Houston?
No, I'm not gonna tell you.
Got anything?
No, no.